Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a very important idea called surveillance capitalism. Now, this term may sound difficult at first. It has two big words, surveillance and capitalism. But do not worry, by the end of this video you will understand it clearly. Let us begin with a simple question. Have you ever searched for something online? Maybe shoes, a mobile phone, a game, or a movie. And then suddenly you started seeing advertisements for the same thing everywhere. Maybe you searched for best sneakers and then Instagram, YouTube, Google, or other apps started showing you sneakers ads. That is not magic. That is part of a data-driven business system. This system watches what people do online, collects information from their behavior, predicts what they may do next, and then uses those predictions to make money. That system is called surveillance capitalism. So, on this first slide, we introduce main idea. The title is Surveillance Capitalism. How everyday experience becomes data, predictions, and revenue. Let us break this down. Everyday experience means normal things we do every day. For example, we search on Google, we watch videos, we like posts, we scroll social media, we message friends, we use maps, we shop online, and we click on advertisements. All these actions feel normal to us, but to large digital platforms, these actions can become data. The slide shows three important data points. First, there are around 5.79 billion social media user identities worldwide as of April 2026. This means social media is not small, it is massive. Billions of accounts are producing digital signals every day. Second, US internet advertising revenue reached around $259 billion in 2024. This shows that online advertising is a huge business. Third, US programmatic advertising revenue reached about $162.4 billion in 2025. Programmatic advertisement means automated advertising. Instead of humans manually choosing every ad, computer systems automatically decide which ad should be shown to which person. So the big message of this slide is this. Your online activity does not only help you use apps, it can also help companies understand, predict, and influence behavior. The main important idea comes from Shoshana Zuboff, who wrote about surveillance capitalism in her book, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. A simple way to say it is this. Surveillance capitalism is a system where human behavior becomes raw material for prediction and profit. Now let us move to the core definition. Shoshana Zuboff describes surveillance capitalism as a new economic system that treats human experience as free raw material. This means that companies collect information from our behavior and use it to create something valuable. Let us imagine a simple example. Suppose you watch football videos every night. You like posts about sports shoes. You search for football shirts. You pause longer when you see a video about a famous player. To you, these are just normal actions, but to a platform, these actions are signals. The platform may think this person probably likes football, then it may go further and predict this person may buy football shoes. Now your behavior has been turned into a prediction. The slide shows a four-step process. Step 1 is human experience. This includes your searches, clicks, movements, attention, and purchases. Step 2 is behavioral data. This is when your actions are captured, stored, combined, and analyzed. Step 3 is prediction products. These are predictions about what you might do next. Step 4 is behavioral futures markets. This means advertisers are companies, advertisers or companies buy access to predictions about future behavior. They want to reach people who are likely to click, buy, subscribe, or pay attention. So the important point is this. In traditional business, a company sells products or services to customers, but in surveillance capitalism, the user can become both the customer and the data source. That means your behavior becomes part of the product. This is why the slide says the user is not simply customer. The user's behavior becomes the input for prediction and targeting. For a 14-year-old audience, think of it like this. If you play a game for free, game may still be making money by watching what you do, what you like, and what might make you spend more time or money. So free. The word free does not always mean truly free. Sometimes you pay with your attention and your data. So now we need to understand why this model becomes so powerful. The answer is scale. Digital life creates huge amounts of data every second. The slide gives us some important figures. There are around 5.79 billion social media user identities worldwide. Around 94.7% of internet users use social media each month. The average weekly social media use is around 18 hours and 36 minutes per user, and globally people spend more than 15 billion hours on social platforms each day. This is a massive amount of human attention. Now imagine each second of that activity producing tiny data points. Every click is data, every search is data, every pause is data, every like is data, every scroll is data, every location ping is data. Alone, one click may not look important, but when billions of users create billions of clicks, patterns appear. Platforms can learn things like what videos keep people watching, what advertisements get attention, what products people may buy, what topics make people emotional, what time people are most active, and what content spreads fastest. This is why surveillance capitalism grew so quickly. It is not only because companies collect data, it is because digital platforms operate at global scale. Let us use a classroom example. If one student says they like chocolate ice cream, that is just one opinion. But if 5 million students say they like chocolate ice cream, a company can use that information to sell more chocolate ice cream. In the same way, when billions of people use digital platforms, companies can detect patterns and build powerful prediction systems. The main message of this slide is scale turns small actions into a measurable market. A single like may seem tiny, but billions of likes can become a valuable business resource. The slide 4 explains the data supply chain. So a supply chain is the process of taking something raw and turning it into something useful or valuable. For example, in a chocolate supply chain, farmers grow cocoa beans, factories process them, companies package chocolate, and shops sell it. In surveillance capitalism, the raw material is behavioral data. The slide shows 5 steps. 1. Capture, combine, infer, predict, and act. Let's go through each step. Step 1 is capture. This means collecting raw behavioral signals from applications, websites, devices, and sensors. For example, the clicks, views, searches, location pings, device information, purchases, and interactions. Step 2 is combine. This means the data from different places may be aggregated, matched, and linked together. For example, your activity on a phone, laptop, shopping website, and social media platform may be connected through identifiers, cookies, accounts, or device information. So step 3 is infer. To infer means to guess something based on the clues. For example, if you watch many cooking videos, the system may infer that you are interested in cooking. If you search for university scholarships, the system may understand that you are a student. If you search for running shoes, the system may infer that you are interested in sports or fitness. So step 4 is predict. This means models try to, these are the machine learning models, the internet models, the AI models try to forecast what you may do next. They may predict whether you are likely to click an advertisement, buy a product, cancel a subscription, or spend more time on an app. Step 5 is act. This means the prediction is used. The system may show you targeted ads, recommend videos, adjust prices, send notifications, or personalize your feed. So, surveillance capitalism is not only about collecting data, it is a business process. It converts data into predictions and then predictions into commercial influence. Let us make this even simpler. Your behavior is collected, your data is combined, your interests are guessed, your future actions are predicted. Then content, aids, or recommendations are shown to influence what you do next. That is the data supply chain. So now we come to the money engine. This slide explains how surveillance capitalism makes money. The main message is targeted and automated advertising turns behavioral prediction into revenue. Online advertising is one of the biggest ways digital platforms earn money. The slide gives three major figures. US internet advertising revenue reached about $259 billion in 2024. In 2025, US internet advertising revenue reached nearly $295 billion. US programmatic advertising revenue reached around $162.4 billion in 2025. These numbers are important because they show that prediction is not just a technical idea, it is a part of massive, huge business model. Let us understand how the money engine works. First, there is user behavior. This includes clicks, searches, views, and purchases. Second, platforms collect behavioral data. Third, prediction models estimate likely actions. For example, the system may predict who is likely to buy a phone, watch a movie trailer, or click on a clothing ad. Fourth, ad targeting and programmatic bidding happen. Programmatic bidding means advertisers compete automatically to show ads to the right user at the right time. Fifth, the platform earns revenue. The more accurate the prediction, the more valuable the ad space becomes. Let us use an example. Imagine two people see the same ad for a gaming laptop. Person A has never searched for the games or laptops. Person B has watched gaming videos, searched for laptop reviews, and visited online stores. Who is more likely to click the ad? Probably the person B. So advertisers would rather pay to show the ad to the person B. That is why behavioral prediction is valuable. The better a platform predicts behavior, the more money it can make from advertising. This is why the slide says in surveillance capitalism, prediction is monetized through targeted and automated advertising markets. So in simple words, the system watches patterns, predicts interest, shows targeted ads, and makes money. So this slide 6 explains why surveillance capitalism often feels hidden. Most users only see the front-end service. They see a search engine, a map app, a video app, a social media feed, or an online shop, but they do not see the full data economy behind it. This slide compares three things: what users see, what systems record, and what buyers want. For example, users see free search, but systems record clicks, queries, and time spent on results. Buyers want to reach likely customers. Users see maps and directions, but systems may record location, history, dwell time, and routes. Buyers may want to reduce wasted advertising spending. Users see social feeds, but systems record likes, shares, scroll speed, and social connections. Buyers may want to influence timing and engagement. Users see short videos, but systems may record watch time, rewatches, and skips. Buyers want conversions and purchases. Users see online shopping, but systems may record purchases, cart abandonment, and price sensitivity. Buyers want to optimize offers and maximize value. The important idea is asymmetry. Asymmetry means one side has much more information or power than the other side. Platforms often know a lot about users, but users usually know much less about how platforms collect, analyze, and use their data. This is why the slide says platforms know far more about users than users know about the systems evaluating them. Let us compare it to a game. Imagine you are playing a game, but the game secretly knows your weaknesses, your habits, your timing, and exactly what makes you keep playing. You think you are just playing, but the system is studying you. That is why surveillance capitalism feels hidden. We see the service, they build the profiles. That gap makes the system powerful. Now let us look at public concern. This slide is about how people feel about company data use. The slide shows that 81% of US adults were very or somewhat concerned about how companies use collected data. Out of that, 35% were concerned, 46% were somewhat concerned, and together that makes 81% concerned. This finding comes from a Pew Research Center. This is important because it shows that many people are not fully comfortable with how their data is used. But here is the interesting part. Even though people are concerned, they still use digital platforms. Why? Because digital services are useful and somewhat necessary. Students need search engines for homework, families use messaging apps to communicate, people use maps to travel, workers use email and online tools, creators use social media to build an audience. So continued use does not always mean trust. Sometimes people use these services because they feel they have no better alternative. This is called privacy resignation. Privacy, privacy resignation means people may feel, I am worried about my data, but what can I do? I still need these apps. For a young audience, this is very relatable. You may know that an app collects your data, but you still use it because your friends are there, your school uses it, or you need it for entertainment. So the message is people may keep participating because digital services are convenient or necessary, not because they fully understand or accept the data practices. This slide teaches us that surveillance capitalism is not only a technology issue, it is also a social issue. It affects trust, choice, and digital life. Slide 8 explains the risks. The slide says that risks are social, economic, political, and personal. Let us go through the key risks one by one. First, the privacy loss. This happens when data is collected beyond what users expect. For example, a person may think an app only needs their name, but the app may also collect location, device information, browsing behavior, or activity patterns. Second is manipulation. This means ads and recommendations may be optimized to influence behavior. For example, a platform may show emotional content because it keeps people watching longer. Third is discrimination. Profiles may affect offers, prices, or opportunities. For example, different users may receive different ads, financial offers, or job information based on data profiles. Fourth, the security harm. Large data stores can create risks of data breaches or misuse. If a company collects too much data and that data is hacked, users may be harmed. Fifth is risk to children and teens. Young people may face targeted advertising, persuasive design, and weak safeguards. This matters because teenagers are still developing judgment, identity, and emotional control. Sixth is power asymmetry. Companies can observe users at scale while users cannot see the full system. The slide also mentions the FTC 2024 concerns. The Federal Trade Commission warned that social media and streaming services engage in vast surveillance of users. The FTC recommended steps like limiting data retention and sharing, restricting targeted advertising, and strengthening teen protections. The main message of this slide is very important. The harms are not only about privacy, they are also about influence, unequal treatment, and concentrated power. In simple terms, if companies know too much, keep too much, and use it without enough rules, people can lose control over their digital lives. Now we move from problems to solutions. This slide explains how societies can respond. The slide says that a practical response combines law, product design, and user rights. This means we cannot solve the problem only by telling users to be careful. Yes, users should learn about privacy, but companies, governments, schools, societies also need rules and protections. The slide gives 6 responses. First, data minimization. It means companies should collect less data, keep it for shorter periods, and delete it by default when it is no longer needed. Second, transparency. Users should receive clear explanation of what data is used, how it is processed, and why it is collected. Third, consent and control. Consent should be real. Users should have real opt-outs, workable privacy settings, and limits on tracking. Fourth, accountability. Companies should face audits, impact assessments, enforcement, and penalties if they misuse data. Fifth, protected groups. Children, teens, and people whose health, finance, or location data is involved should receive stronger safeguards. Sixth, alternative models. Not every online business has to rely on intensive surveillance. Alternatives include subscriptions, contextual advertising, and privacy preserving analytics. Contextual advertising means showing ads based on the content, not based on tracking the individual person. For example, showing a football shoe ad on a football website is contextual. You do not need to track someone across the internet to do that. The key message is better privacy is not only an individual responsibility, it requires governance of the business model itself. So, we need better rules, better design, and better choices. So the slide 10 gives us a simple mental model. So a mental model is an easy way to understand a complex idea. This slide shows surveillance capitalism as a loop. The loop has 5 stages: observe, infer, predict, intervene, and profit. Let's explain each stage. Observe. Behavior signals are collected. This includes clicks, searches, likes, views, pauses, location, and purchases. Second, infer. Systems estimate meaning and intent. For example, if someone watches many videos about dieting, and system may infer that they are interested in weight loss. Predict. Models forecast future action. The system may predict what the person may buy, watch, click, or believe. Fourth, intervene. Aids, feeds, recommendations, and nudges are delivered. A nudge is a small push that influences behavior. For example, only two items left. People like you also bought this. Watch the next video. Your friend liked this post. Fifth, profit. Access to likely outcomes is monetized. This means companies make money by helping advertisers or clients reach users who are likely to behave in certain ways. Then loop repeats. The slide also shows the scaling effect. More users create more data creates better predictions create more targeted intervention creates more revenue builds more data infrastructure, then the system becomes stronger. So the loop keeps improving itself. This is why surveillance capitalism is powerful. It is not a one-time action, it is a repeating system. As the loop scales, each cycle can improve targeting, influence, and monetization. For students, remember it like this. The system watches, guesses, predicts, pushes, earns, and repeats. So now let us summarize the main lessons. So the concept is about power and incentives, not just apps collecting data. The sentence is very important. That sentence is very important. Many people think the problem is only that apps collect data, but capitalism is bigger than that. It is about why companies collect data, how they use it, and how the business model rewards prediction and influence. The slide gives 5 key takeaways. Number one, human experience becomes input. This means everyday digital behavior is treated as a raw material. Your clicks, searches, likes, and attention become inputs for data systems. Number two, prediction is the product. The output is not only an advertisement, the real product is often a forecast of future behavior. Advertisers want to know who is likely to click, buy, subscribe, or engage. Number three, opacity creates power imbalance. Opacity means lack of visibility. Users see the service but not the full extraction and inference system. They may not know what is collected, what is inferred, or how decisions are made. Number four, scale makes it profitable. Billions of users and hundreds of billions of dollars in advertising revenue creates strong incentives. When a business model is very profitable, companies have strong motivation to continue and expand it. Number five, governance matters. Privacy needs rules, auditing, and alternative business models. People need protections, not just long privacy policies that nobody reads. The bottom line is free digital services can be paid for with attention, behavior, and predictability. This does not mean all digital services are bad. It means we must understand the real cost of free services. Sometimes the cost is not money. Sometimes the cost is our attention, our data, and our future behavior becoming more predictable. Finally, the slide 12 shows the sources used. This is important because when we talk about a serious topic like surveillance capitalism, we should not rely only on opinions. We should use research, reports, and credible organizations. So the slide includes Shoshana Zuboff's work, especially The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, published in 2019. It also includes other research papers and publications. So the purpose of the slide is to show that the presentation is not just saying technology is bad, that would be too simple. Instead, the presentation is saying digital technology is powerful, useful, and important, but the business model behind it must be understood and governed carefully. So let us end with a final message. Surveillance capitalism teaches us that our digital actions have value. Every click, like, search, pause, and purchase can become part of a prediction system. For young people, this is especially important because you are growing up in a world where digital platforms are everywhere. You do not need to be afraid of technology, but you should be aware. Ask questions like, what data is this app collecting? Why is this ad shown to me? Why is this video recommended? Can I control my privacy settings? Is this platform helping me or only trying to keep me online longer? When we understand surveillance capitalism, we become smarter digital citizens. We learn that privacy is not just about hiding something. Privacy is about having control over our lives, choices, and future. Thank you.